It was the kind of morning that made everything feel still. The wind barely moved, and the sky was painted in soft grey clouds that hinted at a coming storm. 12-year-old Emily Carter sat in the back seat of her mother's old Subaru, her chin resting on her palm as she stared out the window. Her mum, Claire, was quietly humming to the radio, lost in her own thoughts as they drove down the narrow country road that connected the small town of Willow Creek to the highway. Emily was quiet by nature, a girl who found joy in sketching animals and reading books about wildlife rescue. Her room was filled with posters of dogs, cats, and wildlife, and for as long as she could remember, she dreamed of becoming a veterinarian. But nothing could have prepared her for what she would see that day. A moment that would change everything. As they rounded a curve, Emily's eyes widened. In the distance, something was lying on the side of the road. At first, it looked like a pile of clothing or debris. But as they got closer, her heart started racing. "Mum, stop the car! Stop!" she shouted. Startled, Claire hit the brakes and pulled over to the shoulder. Emily jumped out before the car had even come to a full stop, running toward the dark shape lying in the dirt and gravel. It was a dog, a large German shepherd, barely breathing, covered in dirt and blood. One of his legs was bent at an unnatural angle, and there were deep scratches and bruises across his body. His eyes were half closed, the whites showing. But he was alive. Emily knelt beside him, tears already streaming down her cheeks. She could feel his breath, weak, shallow, but still there. His body trembled from pain and shock. "Mum, he's alive. Please, we have to help him." Claire hurried over, gasping when she saw the dog's condition. For a moment, she hesitated. He looked half dead. Bringing a wounded dog into their lives, into their home, wasn't something she'd ever imagined doing. But she saw the desperation in her daughter's eyes, and something in the dog's expression. It was like he was pleading for a second chance. "Okay," Claire whispered. "Okay, honey. Let's get him in the car." They gently wrapped the dog in an old picnic blanket from the trunk and laid him across the back seat. Emily sat beside him the entire ride to the nearest veterinary clinic, whispering soft words of comfort, her fingers brushing against his coarse fur. "Hang on, boy. Please hang on. You're safe now. I promise." The vet's name was Dr. Harper, a kind older woman with silver hair tied in a bun and years of experience behind her gentle eyes. When she saw the dog, her expression turned grave. "He's in critical condition," she said quietly. "Multiple fractures, severe internal bleeding. This dog's been through something terrible. A car accident maybe, or worse. I'll do everything I can, but we need to be honest. It's a long shot." Emily refused to leave the clinic. For hours, she sat in the waiting room, clutching the edges of her jacket, her knees bouncing. She didn't know why this dog, this stranger, mattered so much to her. But he did. It was like they'd crossed paths for a reason. When Dr. Harper finally returned, she gave a tired smile. "He made it through the night. Barely. He's a fighter." Emily let out a breath she didn't know she was holding. The relief was overwhelming. She named him Shadow, because of how silently and suddenly he had entered her life. And over the next several weeks, as Shadow recovered at the clinic, Emily visited him every day after school. She read to him, talked to him, sat with him for hours. And slowly, the broken dog began to trust again. But as the bruises faded and the bones healed, a new mystery emerged. Shadow had no collar, no microchip, and no one had come looking for him. Where had he come from? Who had let this happen to him? Emily stood beside Shadow's kennel at the clinic, watching his chest rise and fall with each slow breath. Dr. Harper had allowed her special access after school hours, something she rarely did, because she saw something extraordinary in the bond forming between the girl and the dog. And Emily, she had made a silent promise to Shadow. She would not abandon him, no matter what. One afternoon, while brushing his fur, Emily noticed something she hadn't seen before. A tiny scar just under his collarbone, shaped oddly like a crescent. It sparked something in her. A memory. "Mom," she said that night at dinner, "do you remember that news story last year? About the German shepherd that went missing from the service dog program?" Claire looked up. "Yeah. Wasn't his name Thunder or something?" Emily jumped up and ran to the computer. Minutes later, she pulled up an old article. "Trained service dog stolen from veteran's home. Family offers $10,000 reward." The photos were unmistakable. Same strong build, same colouring. And there, visible in one of the close-up shots, the crescent-shaped scar. "Oh my God," she whispered. "Shadow is Thunder." They immediately contacted the number in the article. The man on the other end, Michael Rowe, a retired army medic, could hardly speak through the emotion in his voice. "I thought he was gone forever," he choked. "He saved my life after I came home. He was more than a dog. He was my anchor." Michael lived 3 states away. The reunion was set for the following week. Emily felt everything at once: pride, sorrow, joy, and heartbreak. Shadow wasn't hers to keep, but he was going home, and that meant everything. The day of the reunion, Michael knelt down as Shadow approached. At first, the dog sniffed cautiously. Then something clicked. Shadow whimpered, wagged his tail wildly, and leapt into the man's arms, licking his face and crying out in a voice only Emily had heard before. Michael held him tight, tears pouring down his cheeks. "You came back to me, buddy. You really came back." Emily stood a few feet away, tears of her own streaming freely. Michael turned to her. "You saved him," he said. "I don't have words for what you did, but I want you to know you're always welcome to visit him. He's family to both of us now." Emily nodded, smiling through her tears. Shadow looked back at her one last time before hopping into Michael's truck, his tail thumping happily. He was going home. If this story touched your heart, make sure to subscribe to Flick Sora for more heartwarming dog rescue stories like this one. Like, comment, and hit the subscribe button now to join our growing family. You never know who might need to hear a story like this today.